All right, we're gonna move from 2015 to 2016. The year that was, Finding Dory is the number one film of the year. We also have Rogue
Yeah.
One, a Star Wars story, Captain America: Civil War, The Secret Life of Pets, the live-action Jungle Book, Deadpool first releases into theaters in 2016, Zootopia, Batman versus Superman, which I got to see two advanced press screenings of, and
Huh.
drank some Kool-Aid on it, and now realize that movie's garbage. Suicide Squad, which I always knew was garbage. Doctor Strange, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Moana, which I did not know was that old. The Revenant still gets into the top 15 because it was released so late in the game. That also happened with American Sniper in 15, and Force Awakens also was in 2016's highest grossing because of how late they were in releases. Jason Bourne is in 2016, Star Trek Beyond, and X-Men Apocalypse. So those are your bigger movies of 2016.
And to highlight the what we were talking about earlier with Producers Guild, Deadpool was one of their nominees for best movie of the year. So
I have a theory. I have a theory to talk about as we get into it. I have two small technical shoutouts. I don't have any changes.
I have zero technical changes.
The
So go ahead.
only the only shoutouts, again, it's a dreadful movie. And we've talked about this before with some of his other work. The one thing you can't shit on Zack Snyder movies for, the cinematography is great. I think Batman vs Superman, the cinematography is great. The movie is dreadful. I want to make that very clear. It's hyper
I
problematic, but I think the cinematography in that film is tremendous.
I guess it's just from my personal point of view. I find myself, especially now, leaning so far away from that style
Oh yeah, I don't like the
of like.
style, but it's just hyper style that's worthy of
I
recognition.
mean, and I mean like just like the so clearly everything is just like virtual city apes, you know?
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough from time to time, but I think the way things are shot, because some of the stuff that impresses me the most in that movie is the more personal shots. Actually, it's not the big spectacle that people would be like, "Oh, of course that." I'm like, no, I'm actually thinking of the intensity shots that he's going, like zoom out close-ups with Ben Affleck getting the anger of Batman. Some of the stuff he's shooting with Lois Lane, or the end towards the funeral and things of that nature. That's actually what impresses me more cinematography than the obvious, like, oh, the whiz bang pow of it all. Um, so that would be one, and then again, a shout out for costume design to Rogue One. I think Rogue One, the costuming is very good. It, I think it is incredible the achievement Rogue One does on so many levels of making you believe this is the same era as the original Star Wars. And yet it still has something new to say. And that's something I think is phenomenal for Rogue One. But those are my only two technical shout outs, and I don't have anything in the Big Six. I really don't. I have one discussion piece that I could think of.
So in terms of the ceremony, Damien Chazelle is the youngest director to win, broke an 85-year record. Pretty impressive. Um, yeah, Norman Torog was the person who won in I think 931, I want to say, for Skippy.
Okay.
Which I that's the one movie that I have not seen of Best Director
The
because I
only
cannot
one?
find. Yeah, of all the Best Director winners, that's the one I have not because I can't find it anywhere.
Interesting.
So yeah, yeah. So Damien Chazelle when he won when he was 32 years old.
Impressive.
Viola Davis wins an Oscar, so she's one step closer to an EGOT. All she needs is her Grammy now. Don't know
How
how
should.
she's gonna get that one, but maybe she could just produce something for
Okay.
someone.
And for those who are not in the know, the EGOT would be.
So you got to get your Emmy,
Emmy,
your
Graham.
Grammy, your Oscar, and your Tony.
Yeah, I don't know how she's gonna get that Grammy.
And she actually got her Tony for the same exact role that she got her Oscar.
It's
Both
fence.
for playing
It's for fences, right?
fences. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Um, and then La La Land is only the third film in Oscars history to have 14. So
Never seen it. Never was interested.
highly overrated.
I remember you defending La La Land to me at one point, but
Okay, it's a good movie, but I think I just got so hyped up to the point where I was like really disappointed with it.
sure.
'Cause it was so built up because I was like, all I heard about it was like it was Best Picture nailed on. I was like, okay, great, looking forward to it. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's nowhere as the musical. So when I went into a musical expecting a musical Best Picture winner or potential winner, I was expecting like Sound of Music, Singing in the Rain, something to that caliber,
Yeah.
and it is nowhere near that. So I mean, it looks amazing. That's why it won cinematography, but it's lacking in a lot of other aspects.
Sure. I
So
never intrigued me. I don't know if I'm ever gonna watch La La Land. Maybe one day, who knows? But as you know, musicals are not gonna be my first draw. And then on top of it, everything that was being said, I just went,
I think the music is honestly the biggest aspect of the movie.
which is a fucking hilarious as a musical.
Yeah, and City of Stars won Best Song too, which
Oh wait, no,
I don't agree with.
it's not my
I
cat.
don't agree with it. But
I don't know if there was another song. I did see that, and I was like, I don't know if there's another song I can nominate.
Moana was nominated.
I think that was the one I thought about, where I was like, I
How
don't.
far, how far I'll go. I guess you could have also placed that. You could have also like put another song from Moana,
You're
like
welcome. Could have been in
"You're
there.
Welcome"
Would have
or
loved
that
it.
"Shiny"
I
or
also would have
whatever.
fucking loved to get The Rock an Oscar for a fucking animated movie, just to be like, cool.
Yeah, the other nominees were "The Empty Chair" from Jim the James Foley
Yeah,
Story.
what the fuck
Never
is
even
that?
heard of that.
No idea what that is.
"Can't Stop the Feeling" from Trolls, and "Audition" from La La Land.
I'm
The
not
two
gonna
songs from
lie. Can't Stop the Feeling. I think probably should have won. Of what we're
yeah.
giving, I think it could have been better. Here's my issue: modern musicals, when the music is good, whether you like the movie or not, are inescapable. You cannot go in normal life without people listening to the music. Not once in my life have I ever heard anybody listening to La La Land's music.
Yeah, that exactly.
And I think
That's
that
why
shows you exactly the
it's
problem.
lackluster.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's lackluster. So joins Titanic and All About Eve. 14. No, what can you do?
And none of them are as good as
So
Return of the King, so it doesn't matter.
so you said you have zero changes in the 6,
I have a discussion point, but I don't know if I can even argue
or I
it.
mean the 5, I should say.
Yeah, the 5 I don't have.
Yeah, I have zero changes as well. I have a couple shout outs to say.
So what are our winners
Um,
of our big 5?
so you got Damien Chazelle for director for La La Land, Casey Affleck, Manchester
Manchester
by
by
the
the
Sea,
Sea.
Emma Stone winning for La La Land, Mahershala Ali for Moonlight, Viola Davis for Fences. And I just want to give a quick shout out. The BAFTAs give Dev Patel supporting actor win. Good job, BAFTAs.
You and the fucking Dev Patel love, dude. I'm not saying Dev Patel is bad, but you fucking love Dev Patel.
He's great. I love him.
Oh god, yeah, I don't have a single thing to say about. I honestly, I think Ryan Reynolds deserves some love for Deadpool. I really do. It's not even me being
They
sarcastic.
they don't they don't give comedies any recognition, so I wouldn't hate it.
I because the thing is this, but we're transition into Best Picture because then I think this discussion can take
Yeah,
place.
so just a quick shout outs. Funny Puar plays you probably haven't seen Lion, one of the best picture nominees. Plays the kid version of Dev Patel, and he has to be like 6 years old, but he's like fantastic in that movie.
Okay.
Um, Daniel Radcliffe in Swiss Army Man, where he plays a corpse, fantastic. Amy Adams in Arrival, Paul Dano in Swiss Army Man, David Mackenzie who directed Hell or High Water. I love Hell or High Water, so yeah, just a couple shout outs. And then Best Picture, actual winner was a controversy where they announced La La Land because they gave it to two elderly people who cannot differentiate between
The winner
having.
font and the nomination font.
Well, no, they were given Emma Stone La La Land. They were given the Best Actress envelope.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, great job. They're just yeah. So they announced La La Land. Yeah. So Moonlight wins, and then other nominees you got Rival, Fences, Exhaw Ridge, La La Land, Hell or High Water, Iron, Hidden Figures, and Jester by the Sea.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. 2016 is a collection of movies that A, don't intrigue me that much, but B, frightening because I'm like, oh, didn't that just come out like a year or two ago? And I'm like, fuck, that was 8 years ago now, almost
Yeah,
9 years ago.
that's true. That's true.
It's scary that we're getting this far away from it. But alas, I don't have anything to say about this for Best Picture though. I honestly could have saw some love for Deadpool. I really could have. I think Deadpool.
Hey,
I
Producers Guild, they agree with you.
Here's my reasoning behind that. Deadpool breaks new ground on everything. Why don't we take a character who, in and of himself, as a human being, is not very likable, and make him the most likable character ever? I'm not saying that's never been done in film before. It has, but then you put it into the fact that this is a modern superhero film with next to no budget in comparison to its counterparts. We're going to make it a fourth wall awareness movie, which never happens, with a comedy aspect to it, but it's also a romantic comedy and an action film that holds up on all three categories.
Sure.
It's just, it just fucking works. I don't know what
I,
else
I
to
don't
say. It just fucking works.
I don't really love what it ushers in, but I do love the first one because
I
to me the first one ushers in like, kind of like it ushers in like, the death of sincerity or like
sure
you can no longer be
sincere.
uh, yeah you can't or like you can't be yeah I guess that is the word sincerity like you cannot be sincere anymore you can't or just be curious at all or can't have a emotional moment without taking the piss anymore. Which that really bothers me after this,
I think that's more of a reflection of the society that we're in and not of Deadpool.
especially in Marvel. Especially in Marvel, they're the worst at that, where they'll have an emotional moment, and then immediately they'll have to take the piss out of it, just because we can't get too serious here. We're Marvel.
So
Like,
that's a different story. Marvel does have that problem, and that is certainly something, which is hilarious because then they have some great moments of gravitas where they actually play it for true emotion afterwards that do
but
work. But then there are moments where you're like, okay, can we not?
but yeah,
But it
those are few and far between.
but I do understand what you're saying. I think also Deadpool is a perfect reflection of society. Like, how often do you go to a movie and people are just rooting for people to get murdered? Not killed, like, oh,
Yeah,
I hope the bad guy gets it. Just like, I hope they get maimed and mutilated because I think it's fucking hysterical.
this is another thing I'll talk about in a couple years, where I said that category change, which yeah, it unfortunately it's just never gonna happen
Yeah.
with movies like that because the Oscars just love to take themselves way too serious.
Yep.
Because that's where you're just never gonna see horror or like really true horror or true comedy movies ever nominated.
Yeah.
You can kind of see ushering in of those movies, but like you're never gonna see like Anchorman or the closest you get is like quasi like where it's like kinda comedy, where it's like the Grand Budapest Hotel. That is a comedy, but
It's not a
it's
comedy. Is we
it's more of an art film than it is a
that's
comedy.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's a great discussion point because what's funny is how all these comedic actors are in true comedies for years in history, then they make a dramatic turn in quasi comedic roles that take advantage of the fact that they have tremendous
Yeah,
comedic timing and ability. And yet everyone's like, "Oh, what a dramatic role." It's like, well, it's kind of still a comedy, but it's not. Well, see,
yeah.
no, the
It's like
comedy is. It's like, oh, well, it has
Like
has
Jim,
has Bill Murray in it, so it must be a comedy. I'm like, no, that's not inherently true. Not
yeah,
how
it's
it
like
works.
Bill Murray and Lost in Translation.
Yeah,
Like people think that's a comedy, not really.
no, not at all.
Yeah. Yeah. The only change I had is I took out fences. I just don't. It's just not really suited for a film. It is just far more of a stage play to me.
Having
Um,
having read the stage play, yeah, I could
yeah,
see
and then
that.
I put in a movie that I don't need people have seen, but I really love is
What was that?
Sing Street. Probably
Oh,
haven't
you
even
do
heard of
love
it. It's
you.
just
No, I've heard of it because of you because you fucking
yeah,
love Sing Street.
it's just like a really probably like $5 million budget UK film. Got some buzz. It was like on the short list of being a song possibly nominee, but yeah, I really love that movie, but not enough people have seen.
I can attest you do love that movie tremendously.
Yep.
You would not stop singing its praises for years after you saw it.
And this is also where we start seeing the ushering in of like the what I would call like the LGBTQ era with Moonlight, where this is where it's the true start of it.
Where almost every year there is a movie of someone just portraying the life of an LGBTQ character.
Well, it's going to start exploding from here,
Yeah. Um, but alas,
which
what
isn't
is?
a bad thing. It's just
Yeah, it's just funny how it again. We have to have this discussion because movies are a reflection of the time period that they're made, and this 15 and 16 specifically are the rise of Donald Trump and the far right and the hate against woke movement. Woke inherently is not a bad thing.
true. Yeah,
When you look up what does woke mean, it's the best thing ever. What if we just treated people with respect and actually acknowledge people's life experience? Whoa, crazy, right? That's all it is. But it's like, oh, these woke people just, oh, gotta have a gay character, gotta have a trans character. It's like I remember a more modern film. What is it? Man Named Otto. Whatever the fucking Otto movie with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, a man named.
Man Named Otto. And I remember a coworker that I had just being like, why did the kid have to be trans? I was just like, that's the whole point. Is to show the humanity of this guy. That even as a curmudgeon old fuck, he understands right from wrong and treating people with respect. That's the whole point. It's just basic humanity. Why are you only fixated on, well, why couldn't they tell that story without a trans kid? It's like, because they fucking told it with a trans kid. Who cares? Like, but this is a perfect example of kind of setting the stage of what is and what isn't, and why I think Deadpool is a perfect nod of where we are in society. Society is beaten down so often that you're like, fuck it, I have no choice but to laugh my ass off at stupid shit because I don't have a choice.
Yeah, you get movies ahead of their time like Brokeback Mountain, which was like recognized, but would have been like swept, had it come out in a time like
Brokeback
this.
Mountain comes out in 2015 or 2016. It sweeps everything.
Exactly.
It just goes mine.
Yeah.
Because now a good portion of society is ready for that.
Exactly.
It's that simple. Brokeback Mountain is also a trailblazer because it allowed people to see that and go, wait, maybe I need to challenge my conventions. And that's the worst part is when you get a flood, so to speak, of movies with LGBTQ plus characters, characters of color, all this other stuff, where it's just always, why can't the white man be in it? It's like, really? That's all you see?
Yep.
You can't see the human experience in here? You can't see the journey and just appreciate it for the... Even if you're like, hey, it's not my life, I don't really understand it, you can't just look at the movie and go, oh, I get it. The first thing out of your mouth has to be bitching and moaning up a storm? Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
It is. Yeah, it's annoying. That's for sure.
All right, what's your favorite movie of 2016?
Oh,
It's Sing Street. You don't have to say it. It's Sing Street.
I think it's Hell or High Water.
Oh, wow. Sing Street almost had that title for a long time.
It probably would have been, but I think over time, I think Hell or High.
I would split it between Rogue One or Deadpool. Not sure which one. I love Rogue One. I think Rogue One is...
There's parts of Rogue One that are great, but overall, it's just...
I think Rogue One might be second or third best Star Wars movie. Which, I know that if you actually look at rankings, 5 of them are trash. So that's not like saying...
yeah, I would agree with that.
That's not saying as much as people think it might. But at the same time, it is just like, when you first say it, people are like, whoa. But then you go...
Like, reviews for my thoughts on those.
But check out last week's episode on Revenge of the Sith, and you'll hear what we have to say about some of this stuff. So, I think Rogue One's great, and I love Deadpool, so...